Hello everybody, I'm Justine Bilton. I'm Chief Officer at Carers Wakefield District. We are a locally based charity. We support adult carers, unpaid carers who may be looking after a family member or friend due to illness, frailty, disability, who wouldn't ordinarily be able to manage without that person's support. And we do that throughout Wakefield and the surrounding districts. Unpaid carers are the unsung heroes really of society. Without unpaid carers, we'd be in a terrible state. They save the economy billions. I think at last count it was something like £132 billion a year, which, you know, essentially if we didn't have unpaid carers doing such dedicated work, then the whole system would fall apart. So it's really important that whilst carers are doing this really important piece of work, they actually recognise their own needs and look after their own health and well-being, and that's why we do what we do. It's the right thing to do, really. There's so many things that I'm proud of. We often manage to get lots of small pockets of grants and funding that allow us to do some exceptional things, really. What we can't manage to do with a few £1,000 isn't worth doing. The voluntary sector do give really good value for money. So when the government announced that that carers would be made a priority for the vaccination, it was important that we got as many carers identified and invited for that vaccination at the earliest opportunity. So we set about doing a registration programme so that unpaid carers could identify with their GP practice as a carer and then be invited for the vaccination. It was a huge amount of work. The whole team pulled together. We had outside colleagues. We had a GP that took on this piece of work from that point of view. We had colleagues from the local authority and from the NHS who really pulled out all the stops to try and make this piece of work happen. And I think within the first few days, we'd registered something like, 1,000 new carers within a week or so. And when you consider that we generally do that within a year, that was a tremendous amount of work. So to date, we have registered around about 9,000 carers with their GP practices, which not only helped them to get the vaccination at the earliest opportunity, but also has sort of left a bit of a legacy, really, in that GPs now recognise those individuals as carers, and they'll benefit from other things. So, for example, invitation for a flu jab, flexible appointments, that sort of thing, and it's cemented a relationship between ourselves and GP practices as well throughout the district, which has helped in identifying and supporting unpaid carers going forward. Often it's those really tiny organisations that are almost entirely led by volunteers without very much funding at all. So I would say Memory Action, Jan Archibald, a tremendous work that organisation did, that completely peer led, and as we can all appreciate, being left with a diagnosis of dementia or Alzheimer's, it can be really tough on everyone concerned. So I think a really important piece of work there. Success for us is about, I think, the whole of society recognising, how important unpaid carers are, and to act accordingly. So I think it's important that in every sphere of society, everybody does their part, really. And that can be really, sort of small measures. It can be, as I mentioned before, things like flexible appointments at a GP or a dentist or something like that. But also, in in the working arena, lots of carers give up work or go part-time because they can't manage both employment and the caring role. And sometimes it's just about being that little bit flexible as an employer. You know, you might be able to allow people to have some time off to go to appointments, for example, or just have a little bit of time out to manage to be able to juggle the work and the caring role as well. It's about carers recognising that they too have their own needs, and if they don't address their own health and well-being, then chances are they'll not cope as a carer as well. So it's really important that carers have got that ability to be able to look after their own health and well-being. Given the current climate, the cost of living crisis, etc., what do you see as your biggest challenges going forward, really, in this particular challenging time? Just to recognise the needs of unpaid carers, and to know that this can happen to anybody. You know, you can become an unpaid carer either as a temporary measure or as a more permanent thing, and that it can have a real impact on people's lives. So to just, to recognise that somebody may be struggling as a carer, to offer them a listening ear, and to let them know that they're not on their own, that there is some support out there from organisations like ourselves here at Carers Wakefield District.